was going to be a rough transition. I still haven't had time to go through and figure out what I'm doing with the new pre-roll yet, but hello and happy Sunday afternoon, guys. Hope everything is going well with you. I just got to make sure I remember that you guys are on like a 7-second delay, I think is what it looked like from my end. So, yeah. How are you guys doing this Sunday afternoon? I don't think I've done a stream in 2020 that I didn't have like a plan for what to do with it or things ready to show. Probably apparent in the fact that the pre-roll video is all the outdated logo and branding and all that stuff. It is a sleepy afternoon. Glad to see Seattle's doing good. It's still crazy that we ship so many plants all the way to the West Coast. About to go on a hike. Melting. Yeah, today's been a kind of weird day in Orlando. Thus the sleepiness, I guess, but I'll take it. It was beautiful watering. Definitely beautiful watering, so. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of anything prepared for this particular stream, so figured I'd hang out. This is the new house. I am trying to figure out how I would take this camera quality and get this in my backyard greenhouse to be able to do like Q&As while I propagate or something like that. But I haven't gotten there yet, so we'll get there. Obviously Friday was big. I have a couple things to show. I have new business cards finally. I don't know that a camera will want to focus. Oh, look at that. Also this camera quality though, right? Looks good. I scratched up the bottom of this one, but yeah, neat to have my own business cards again, because I think the last 2 times I redesigned them, like when I redesigned them with the watercolor logo, we just started getting the generic ones, and I stopped putting my name on any of them, so it's nice to have that again. Also, you guys probably haven't seen these yet. This is the new unboxing guide card. So it has pretty much the same information, but laid out graphically a whole lot better. I don't know. Can I set this right here? Oh, look at that. Look at that. So anyhow, that's the new unboxing guide cards. Those start going out tomorrow. New Packed by cards. So those will start shipping tomorrow too. So I don't think we're entirely switched over with the brand like I thought, mainly because packing tape. Man, we've gotten the branded packing tape that you guys see, the white tape with the old Gabriella logo on it. We've ordered some and had it take 8 weeks, and we've ordered some and had it delivered like 4 days later. And it's looking more like this one's going to be the 4-week one, or 8 weeks, because I have yet to see that ship yet. In LA, very cool. Oh yeah, you have a new magnet. That's true. New magnets. I still need to photograph all these, but magnet, the new GP monogram sticker, and the new, I want to call it the camper patch. I'm sure the guys with Danger Brain probably wouldn't like me calling their logos things, but, and then of course, we have the new Gabriella plants. This is the handwritten logo with the Gabriella in cursive. So yeah, that was one thing I kind of forgot to put in the letter. But what was really neat about, and I don't know how I missed something this big, probably because I was writing it starting at like 7:30 in the morning, but because I ran out of time the night before. But this particular anniversary relaunch, which every anniversary we've done, we used to celebrate the December birthday. That's technically still the birthday of the website, but not the birthday of when I started doing things on my own at first and experimenting with that. But anyways, one of the things I forgot to mention in that was just that whether it was the branding, being a branding agency now and not reliant on me, a lot of the customization of the current website, that all happened by Robert on our staff now. So it was also the first update rollout type of thing where I didn't do it all in like a 24-hour period. I did a lot. But yeah, I didn't have as much to do with that. So that, or at least delegated more this time. So that was a cool piece of this launch, was just that now things like our branding are being handled by somebody who has more than 30 minutes of Photoshop experience. So that's a good thing. Your kids want to meet me. I love getting to talk to kids. We used to, when we did the local events, we used to, if you had like a kid, we didn't really have rules back then. But we used to, when we had the big Saturday sales, which we did every month, because I committed to it in 2019. I said every month we're going to do these second Saturdays. And we did them, and we started doing like a activity with the kids. If you had like a kid under 6 or something, we would let them get their hands dirty in dirt and fill a pot and stick like a spider pup or something in the soil and take it home with them. So I always love getting to do that stuff. What was the process to design the new logos? Well, Danger Brain is a company with two individuals, Sebastian and Alfonso. They are big. I don't know. They've been really big in the Orlando creative community for a really long time on doing some rather big brands and doing some, they even did Chewy's brand and a few other people. So I've always wanted to work with them, and then we were blessed enough financially to be able to do it. And I really wanted to finally have that graphic side of stuff being handled. I don't know. Gabriella is, okay, this is a side note, but Gabriella is in a weird spot with positions like graphic design, like writing bios for the plants on the, like descriptions for the website and stuff, where we have a decent amount of that's like been sitting in my backlog of things I've wanted to accomplish. Like I wanted to have like a branded version of Always Growing More for a really long time, like since the beginning of this year. I just didn't have the time to actually do it myself, nor had any type of creative inspiration in that way. So when I reached out to them in 2020, said, hey, this is our story. They're really big into storytelling. They're also really big, if you look at the poster behind me, the thing on the stream, that way, and this plus this, they're all different iterations of one consistent brand. So less emphasis on one particular image or one particular layout as a solid single logo, but more as a brand identity. And that was the direction I wanted to head, just for the future, is having more identities than just the Gabriella plant single logo. So from our greenhouse to your house is now branded. Always Growing More, those are both like trademarks too. So yeah, that's kind of the process. So I reached out to them. They came out, they spent like a whole day just kind of watching people do their jobs, and I gave them a copy of everything. And they started asking some follow-up questions like, hey, do you have, have you thought about doing merch? Like, do you have stickers? And I'm like, oh, let me show you the entire rack of all of our goodies. So I gave them a copy of everything we had, and they were in the process of letting go another client they had worked with for a long time. So they kind of needed some time to wrap up some other projects, and the timing worked out, and they were getting pretty close with the branding. And then I kind of pushed towards hey, let's go ahead and just celebrate the day that I made the original one with the day that the new ones roll in. So that was the process. They did spend a lot of time, and I've been working from home on Thursdays, at least until like 3:00 or so. And I would talk to them about that was one of the phone calls I had like every single Thursday, was talking to them, refining what they did. The other thing I really wanted from on the branding end, that Danger Brain, was like just nailed perfectly was I really wanted to have some of like the patterns, like the Monstera leaf, those types of things. I wanted to have some of those that were ours and ours, uniquely, that would stand out if we put, update to our shipping policies and then put it over that pattern or that design. People even without the logo would still associate the two after enough time of it being out there. So those are all parts of the design process on that, but I didn't have my hands dirty like I did at the onset, because the original logo was made in 30 minutes. So, and I'd say I'm not proud of it, but it also became what it became. So that's that. I bought other plants from other sites and popular ones. Well, thank you, Billy. We really try. The team does amazing work. It makes me look really good. And ultimately at this point, they're doing the vast majority of everything week to week. Shipping team's killing it. It's nice to have everyone on one mission and on one mission together. So that's nice. Yeah, but you guys are welcome to ask your questions. I figure I'll hang out till like 7, and then I'll probably have to go figure out. It's just too nice outside. Like I said that I was gonna do this, so I'm gonna do this, but I would be sticking cuttings if it wasn't for this. Just because I'll take any day that's less than 90 degrees right now. It's like, I don't even know what temperature it is outside. But you can go to GabriellaPlants.com/pages/weather. I think that's still the link. Pages/weather. Haha. Yeah. According to the weather station at Gabriella, I'll post it in chat. It is 75 degrees in Florida right now. That is just glorious. How do I feel about the strains on growers? Oh man, you don't have long enough. No, I'll try to circle back to the supply demand issues. I've written about it on Facebook and in the group before. At the end of the day, I mean, locally I could go into great detail about how just because of where they decided to put bigger highways and stuff, Apopka, Florida was always one of the very edge of town to Orlando proper cities in Orlando. And now that they're putting in, or they have successfully put in that expressway, you can get to Disney or completely north of Orlando in 20 minutes either way. So that's part of the particular strain in like Central Florida is you have land values increasing as you have, which is more and more of an incentive for people who are already in the boat of, I don't know when I'm going to retire. I just know that word is being talked about more. They're willing to part given the land value. So it would be the same, by the way, if we sold Gabriella. It's not necessarily the cheapest land, and typically agriculture gets grown at, where land value is pretty cheap. So that's part of the, Central Florida thing. And Central Florida was always, a lot of agriculture for the entire country, the vast majority is grown in Florida or California, and the stuff that's grown in California is for California, and the stuff that's grown in Florida is for the rest of the country. And for the most part, you don't have people, there's not a huge volume of stuff crossing those two bounds. That's why you kind of have two larger billion-dollar conglomerates. But those billion-dollar companies had been buying up greenhouses long before it was popular, mainly to absorb more. And I totally understand it now, even in the position we're at now, where it's one thing to just say, okay, great, we have the money, let's go buy 100 acres in the middle of nowhere and let's start building greenhouses. That isn't all that difficult, really. Especially with the price and like where the market's at. I don't know, I haven't tried, but I'm assuming you could go out and get a SBA loan to, build more greenhouses pretty easily, if you at all had some business with a track record. So the funding and all that stuff's there, especially with interest rates being low. But just having the money to build another greenhouse doesn't put in place the people who know what they're doing as growers. So at least Costa on the East Coast was very intentional about buying out existing businesses, even with plans to keep those businesses operating under their name, under their own management for another 5 years or whatever, just to lock in, if nothing else, that workforce that already knows how to do operations at that property. So those two things combined put a lot of strain on the market, and obviously plants are popular again. But we're doing everything we can to grow more. Yeah, especially now that the business is where it is. There's going to be a lot of 2021 is going to be, if you think 2020 was big, 2021 is going to be a heck of a lot better. So I'm excited for it. Good is ahead, as I always say. Advice on how to score a Rio. I don't even know. I'm so conflicted on the ghost update versus doing weekly inventory updates, and how to deal with some of the people with their claims of using bots. As far as like just speaking to the bots thing real quick, there is no way for somebody to score more with a bot. There's bots that, and these two things get like intermingles very easily. There's bots that can fill out like your name and email address. That's also called Chrome autofill. You can buy custom plugins that are a little bit like better at doing that and doing that consistently and really fast. But that's neither here nor there. And it really doesn't help you all that much. In fact, some would even argue that that bot is probably slower than Apple Pay, just because of the authentication of Apple Pay just being Face ID and stuff if you have it set up that way. So yeah, I don't know how to deal with that. We have options. I won't share them all. We have a way to be able to notify people and provide a password, for example, in the notification email and lock it down that way. So if you didn't ask, and it would be a little bit more random because you had to wait on the email. But I also know if I turn that on, even if that is a teensy bit more fair, you're going to get people saying, well, by the time I got this email, it was already sold out. So there's no perfect solution to having the growing capacity of hundreds or just barely over 1,000 of a plant and having, 10 times that demand on a month by month basis, not to mention the entire year. So I don't think people entirely understand how drastic the number of plants to number of plant enthusiasts there are. Thomas, how is the house coming along? It's coming along really well. You can see by the banner I hung. What you can't really tell, because I haven't got the right lighting in here, my new desk for my office comes on Tuesday. Which, if those of you who know or have been around for a little while, you'll know that I do have a passion like music, and obviously that's why I love doing the film stuff. And at my old house, the studio desk I had where like my monitors and all that stuff sat, that had been like crushed by a ceiling collapsing in the house I lived at before I got married, which was destroyed by Hurricane Irma. So I went to start taking that apart when we were going to move, and it was just like, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I just put screws in here, crisscross. I mean, it was anything I could do to hold that thing back together. So Miriam's done a great job of unpacking the rest of our lives and being a responsible adult and doing the majority of the cleaning of the other house and stuff. So all that's really left is stuff that I need to put away, which I'm just waiting on having some of it needs to slide into the desk and stuff like that. So that's how the house is coming along. And I finally got all the outdoor irrigation. God bless my grandparents for understanding that Florida plus plants means nothing if you can't water them. So finally got all that on smart waters, just like I can water probably half the greenhouse at least right now. And by the end of this week, it'll definitely be like 2/3 of the greenhouse I can water remotely from my phone, either at the greenhouses or remote or on a schedule. So the one step bigger than that I'm just rambling, but this is, I mean, there's 63 people in here just watching me do this. So I guess I always go to Miriam after these streams. I'm like, I'm just rambling and talking about complete nonsense. And they're like, well, she's like, well, a lot of people seem to be watching it. And I was like, okay, good point. But the next step beyond having Wi-Fi waters, I don't even know where I'm going. Oh, because house, I was doing Wi-Fi waters there too. I am using the backyard greenhouse. The point of this, I'm using the backyard greenhouse to test a lot of the things that we want to implement at Gabriella. Like eventually Wi-Fi waters being tied to moisture sensors in random samplings of plants on a bench, so that the watering schedule can be almost on a AI would not be the right use of the term, but like a digital system custom built to kind of track that and prompt when they think that something should need watering. If 3 of the 4 sensors agree that they're beneath 20% moisture, turn it on. So I want to do a lot with like just integrating technology more. I think it's one of the most underrated parts of our industry, and it's something we can do a lot of fun with. So do you think you will get new plants such as Ring of Fire or other rare varieties? Yeah, I mean, you guys don't even know how many things I currently have working on. That was kind of a realization to me after we got through like the spring hiring and all that, was okay, 2 things. One, I need to figure out what we're going to grow next year and get some of that like pre-booked out if we are going to buy in, baby plants or cuttings, that kind of thing. I need to get what I can pre-booked, because that stuff, I mean, you have to order that stuff, 6 months, a year in advance. And honestly, one of the harder things that I never thought would be hard has been finding good soil, or finding consistent stock of soil. A lot of the companies that bring down Canadian stuff are trying to go through different distributors because of all the new trucking rules. They can't get down here in like the 3-day trip they used to do by kind of fudging the numbers on paper. So yeah, the soil's becoming even hard to source at this point. So I've just been, ever since we kind of got through that initial hiring spree and we finally did kind of open up our shipping capacity to being 2,500 instead of the 500 or so we were capped at previously, or 800, my focus really turned to buying plants we weren't growing yet, whether that was from like just shopping NSE and other online stores, doing a little bit of eBay here and there. And of course I have friends and stuff with collections, so just kind of grabbing bits and pieces and trying to work on them. But as I've said in previous live streams, I'm becoming, I tend not to give myself credit, tend not to accept the fact of where we are as far as like how much attention we draw to ourselves and how much attention's on the things I even post in the behind the scenes group. I mean, the behind the scenes group used to just be, hey, what do you guys think if we like completely deleted this? And people knew that was just me talking out loud. And, now I have to be much more cognizant of what I say, especially publicly. So knowing that any plant that's going to be new or rare, we really need to be able to bring, at least the capacity to grow 100 of them a month. I mean, and that's still nothing. But that's a really high bar compared to what we did in 2019 in the early days. So you'll probably see things like Gabby, things like the Bilite, some of the different variegated burley marks, things like those things are going to be, not that we're withholding them from anybody, but we are certainly withholding until we have the ability to keep up with it. Because every item we add to the website comes with that many number of questions about when it will return or its care. So they are in the works, but I think that's all I'll say for now. Love the plants, everything. Wanted to know about the payment options, Apple Pay. Yeah, Apple Pay went away for now. It's a very big advantage. And I was already torn about it. I hadn't even made my mind up. And then when we redesigned the site, that was one of the options that had been removed, at least from like the default option. So we would have to kind of custom integrate it back in. So we may also turn those elements off. I don't have a for sure answer, but I know that there's no way I can turn it on tonight. So it'll at least be gone for a little while. Is the hat available online? It will be. We actually had like, I think 6 or 8 different merch items that we were going to launch on launch. And then when we started uploading them, like the logos and placing them out like this shirt is, they were like, due to COVID and a bunch of people sitting at home trying to figure out how to make money from home and designing t-shirts and selling them online, because where we do our merch through now just prints on demand. So we don't have to buy in, 100 mediums, 100 larges, and then find out that none of our customers wear mediums. Or all of our customers wear mediums and no other size. I think for a while there we had like, I don't know, 3 times as many extra larges as anything else or something like that. It was just crazy which one I forgot. So we do it all like, on demand now, and they're great, but they created a limit of adding 2 new items per week or per day or something like that. So I need to go back in there today, but we have them all designed. It's just a matter of when they're going to let us publish them. But yes, Jessica, you will see this particular hat. Probably not in the black jean version. I just got one of the black jean version, but Miriam really likes the blue jean version. So the blue jean version will be available online at some point. Oh, somebody from Oviedo who's not here anymore. That's really cool. Where'd you move to, Shannon? Dallas? I have family in Texas. It's 100 degrees in Austin, Texas. Yup. It's smoky in California. I tell you, hurricanes are scary. I've had my entire house have an inch of standing water throughout the whole thing, like mid-hurricane. I'll take it over a fire any day. Yeah, like the video of somebody driving through like just flames in a, let's just call it combustion engine what it is, a controlled fire happening inside of your car. I don't know. That is terrifying. I'll take some wins. The fire thing is, that's some nightmare stuff. Definitely praying for you guys out there. Somebody asked, is that type of botting system the way that people do it? Not the vast majority. The vast majority of things in Ghost updates goes to individuals like you and me. There was somebody this morning. You mainly see the bots activity on specifically Pink Princess, because I have not seen a single Pink Princess or quality, especially if somebody's saying, hey, I got it from Gabriella, which for some reason makes it worth more. I haven't seen one go for sale for under like $250. So when you're at that much of a discount compared to what market value is, those are going to be the items that people want to use the bots for. It probably isn't worth it to set up those type of notifications on Prince of Orange or even Hoya for that matter. So the vast majority of people don't use bots, and we have a variety of tools. This morning, I was able to see that the one person who outwardly bragged in a Facebook group that they were going to use this new method to try to score something, I was able to see that all 6 of those orders came from the same device, the same, computer and the same IP address. So, you can try, but we, particularly for Pink Princess, really look at that pretty quickly. So I don't think there's plenty of people who have probably gotten 2. There's not people who are openly abusing it week in, week out. That's just not a reality. You love the Ghost updates. What kind of music? Oh man, I'm so behind in these comments. All right, what kind of music? One of my biggest inspirations is Tycho, so like instrumental, full band, mellow rock. I don't know what you would call that. That's my favorite stuff, at least to make. I do work very hard. The stream quality. I'm glad somebody mentioned the stream quality, because yeah, this is how the stream should always look. It looks great, sounds great. except for I need to remember to get close enough to this microphone. But yeah, I definitely am a fan of nice looking things and high quality. So it's nice to be able to use. This is the big camera I shoot video of at Gabriella. Downside, it has like a 30-minute battery, or I guess right now it's only outputting in 1080, so it's gone through like half of its battery since we started. So at some point I'm gonna have to end. I do have a backup like old school webcam too though. What are concerts anymore? Truth. A distant memory that will come back. Everything will be good, guys. Is there a specific time range? At this point, the time range is whenever I do it. So take that for what it is. I mean, sometimes it can be the middle of the night. Sometimes it can be rather early. Sundays are typically earlier than later, just because otherwise we would have to do all the order combinations and stuff before shipping can start. So I typically inventory update when I wake up on Sundays and then do all the combinations before Wesley comes in around like 4 o'clock to start pulling plants into HQ for the shipping team. How's your personal garden project? Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the same camera set up in the greenhouse in the backyard at some point. Yeah, Wesley was like, you did what? I currently have one of those big nursery carts we got. I brought one of them home the other day with the Gator, because I drive a Gator to work now, mainly because my truck's about ready to die. And I live like 5 driveways away, and it's fun. So I drive the Gator to and from work, and it's like our UTV. And I hauled back a trailer the other day because my new thing is just bringing home like, I don't know, about an hour of propagation, like an hour worth of propagating of cuttings, like about an hour worth of cuttings. I don't know. Is that like something you go around saying? Like, you know what I did before I left? I grabbed about an hour's worth of cuttings. But yeah, I normally bring that home and do it at home. So I was beginning to have a problem where I couldn't move my feet or anywhere with my hands, because I had so many plants that I had like propagated at home, but were intended to go back to Gabriella. Because I mean, the greenhouse here is like, I don't know the dimensions of it, but it's probably like 12 by maybe 16 by 10 or something like that. I mean, it's fairly small. It's a backyard greenhouse. So I brought a big nursery cart over and I loaded up half of it, and I'm waiting until the sun sets so that nothing gets sunburned, and then I'm going to go drive it over back to the greenhouse. But I had to tell Wesley, like, hey, you're going to have to go find one of the other carts, because I stole that one that was in front of the greenhouses. And he's like, for what? And I'm like, for all the cuttings I propagated. He's like, you've propagated enough cuttings? Because the Gator has like a little like pickup truck bed in the back, right? So he's like, you did enough that you need a trailer? I'm like, yeah, about an hour worth of cuttings for the past like 9 days. Since he's here, that means we can stop refreshing the page. That would be true at this given moment. I hope in the future I won't be the only one doing those. I've definitely thought about live cameras at the greenhouses. I have certainly thought of that. It's still on Curtis and I. Curtis does some of our IT work as like an independent contractor. It's still, because we are just at the edge of the range where I can put like a jumbo flagpole on the top of my garage and a jumbo flagpole on the top of the new building at Gabriella, the HQ building. And I could and we would be at the edge of being able to have cross like network at a high bandwidth. If I can do that, I would love to be able to stream, and then like on like a Facebook or a YouTube live stream, be able to pull in the footage that is being communicated on the network at work. So that's really geeky, but it may happen. Can only watch and not listen right now. That's like the opposite. You could just listen to this and not look at it, but it's good to see you, Patty. It was cool. Patty got to come see the greenhouses. I'm sure you probably guys remember her in that post. I always love when that happens. We've had to pause that entirely though because of COVID and like mask requirements, but hopefully we'll be able to start showing people around again. You need the sensors in your house. You can buy them. They're right now, at least, we're just using ambient weather sensors. Do more reviews on watering systems. I do have a video on YouTube of not the watering system, but of our temperature sensor suite and how we're doing that. So, but I should probably do one on watering systems. Right now we're using, well, we experimented with rain machines, and due to like, they didn't hold up super well in the high humidity, which is kind of my fear whenever you put like a screen on a device that's meant to be like outside. So we started using all of the Wi-Fi waters at Gabriella are Ratio. They're all those. So those are just like everyday consumer smart devices. And then we have plans to tie in, because of the APIs and stuff into the app in the future. But for now, we just use the native controls. New items to break my heart. Yeah, I don't know when Gabby's going to come back around, but we're working on it. Pink Princess tote bag. I don't know what we're going to do with that Pink Princess tote bag. That was like, I don't know. I don't know if we should just let that rest or bring it back and sell it on the website. I don't know what we're going to do with that. All right, I'm going to try to speed up here. Variegated heart leaf. Yeah, that's another one that's in the works. You're live on Facebook. No, this is just for the behind the scenes group. I do record these, and sometimes we'll post them on YouTube later. I probably won't for this one, because this didn't really have... every quarter I do like a state of the business address, and I have more like photos and like things to put on your radar, and like more of a prepared statement or thing. But since this isn't really that, it's just questions and answers, I don't know that it will be, but it'll exist in this group for a while. Will there be a big batch release of Pink Princess or just ghost restocks? I don't know. I need to kind of play with... I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. What's the status on Jose? They're one of the slowest plants that we can grow the least of. So, it is what it is. I mean, yeah. I'll tell you, 4-inch are going away, and it's going to be 5-inch only. And we have I think another like 16 5-inch that should be ready in September. But again, you're talking about 16 plants. So, which is like, if we only had 4 plants, then it would make sense to eBay all of them. But because we have like 16, I don't know, it just puts us in a weird spot with that. I've gotten all my plants from Luck. Strategy of refreshing the sites and no bots. It's probably the better call. Again, bots are not magical instruments to get you plants, and they don't get around our physical shipping address limitations and stuff like that. At best, it's a notification that we did in fact restock something, which is the thing you see people talking about most, which isn't really a bot that's helping you score the plant other than just being notified. And when I saw that a bunch of people were doing the like notification bots, I just started dropping like one at a time, like on the 1 minute after the hour each month, just because I knew it was texting like 15 people at the same time, just to get them to the point where they didn't trust it anymore. Yeah. Is pest management difficult? No, but we also have a lot of hands and a lot of eyes. So it was much more difficult when there were 3 people working day to day in that huge amount of space, because the reality is you probably weren't going to get to the back of a bench and notice that problem quick enough. But with how often, with how much inventory we're turning over in general because of sales, combined with the fact that we have more people working, there's just more we catch things a lot sooner. So we have our pest issues from time to time. I mean, like I've said pretty transparently, any grower is going to deal with that. It's just a matter of, doing the right thing. We're not selling. We have a ton of one particular plant that we only had like maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 at like the front of the bench that had some signs that there may be an issue, and we were still like, okay, well, this is on lockdown for two weeks. So it's not difficult. It's easier now that we have more people. It's only difficult because it takes time. If you have something like spider mites, you really ought to be hitting it with at least 2 different dosage, split out by at least 5 days in between, preferably 3 doses spaced out over 3 weeks, because the longevity of a baby one that was already in like larva form or something is going to take about 2 to 3 weeks. So you're not going to be able to know you're good to go until you have all the generations eliminated. So pest management's difficult because sometimes you just got to do the right thing and take the time to fix it. But most pest issues can be rectified fairly easily too, without using anything in the super, super dangerous category as far as pesticides. Sorry for all the questions. How do you keep up with any rot on cuttings that would happen? Yeah, people ask a lot about rot. I think it's important to understand why. So rot is most commonly caused by funguses, fungi. And so a thing to remember about fungi is, let's just go ahead and remove plants entirely from this. And this is what I think, if I were going to write like a book or something, it would be more like, think of plants and every other aspect of your life as like just how basic biology works, because the root rot issues all happen because fungi thrive in dark, moist, warm places with minimal airflow, right? Even turning a fan on a piece of moldy bread is going to help reduce that mold, just because that's not the environment they thrive in. So people experience root rot with cuttings because if you get even the soil we use, like a peat-based soil, and you water it enough and it compacts itself enough that there's no airflow to neither the roots nor the tissue of the plant stem that's sitting beneath the soil line, it's not guaranteed you're going to have rot. Not at all. I would say maybe 10%, but you are going to start experiencing that 10% loss rate because you're creating an environment that is what the fungi want. So as long as you're, the key to us as far as preventing it, even though we use soil that stays rather moist, is just knowing how dry you need to get the soil you're using. So we know pretty well from years of experience and years of using the same peat-based soil mixes, just with give or take some perlite or other fillers from time to time as we edit how we do things like that. But we know even just picking a plant up, how long it has. If it's 95 degrees, I pick a plant up, I'm like, okay, that's about 2/3 of its weight. It has until tomorrow before noon, when it will be in the sweet spot of having dried out enough that it's holding its shape really well, but still allowing airflow and can be watered again. So anyhow, that's kind of a long answer to rot, but rot only happens when you create the environment. There's also fungicides you can drench into the soil. It's also very important. We experience less of it because we use bagged soil. There are nurseries who produce particularly larger outdoor plants with like more of a topsoil that will just get it by the dump truck. And that is when you start running into who knows if the fungus started because of spores long before it got to your greenhouse, or was your greenhouse just the right place with the right amount of moisture and heat and the combined factors. The fact that we use bagged soil cuts down on a lot of the problems as well. So high quality ingredients, knowing that plants require airflow, and that your number one defeating of any fungus is going to be better airflow, less time staying moist for long periods of time, then you should be pretty good. I believe that ghosts exist, but I've never seen a ghost. Will royalty points ever become a thing? I don't know if loyalty points will become a thing. I have a ton to say about what we could do in the future. I think as we move to the app doing more and more things, our proprietary internal use app, there's more and more discussions of what we could do to integrate that into something really neat for the customers. But I'll leave it at that. Definitely a 2021 mid to late of the year, I would imagine, before we get there. But we are working on that. Are the pictures clues ever? Rarely are the main Instagram post clues. Stories can sometimes be clues, and posts in the behind the scenes group can sometimes be. But because of the just image of everyone complaining about something selling out, we have tried to reduce the number of pieces of things we publish that have to do with inventory that we released. Besides growing amazing plants, what else do you and Miriam do for fun? Well, I've pretty much worked on this business nonstop for the past 2 years, now that I have a little bit of my own free time. I mean, plants are still a huge part of what I do. I also play video games from time to time, like Overwatch, and obviously was super excited when the new flight simulator dropped. And Miriam, she has a great group of friends. We're both somewhat introverts from time to time, so we like our own space and just being able to catch up and handle our stuff. But Miriam and I's big thing is getting to drive. We just love traveling together, and it's what whenever we go up to Asheville for our anniversary every end of September, a large portion of that's just driving the Blue Ridge or finding back roads to drive and try to find some place we haven't been before and take a camera along with us. So we just like traveling for fun, which obviously COVID has kind of made harder. What are plants in my personal wish list? Oh man, a lot of stuff. Biggest thing would probably be, I know this may have changed, but I really want one of those Shangri-La pothos, those really weird messed up ones. I'm pretty sure I could make one by just giving a jade pothos a tremendous amount of growth regulator to the point it's not healthy. Because to me, that's what it looks like. It just looks like a plant that's been so overly treated with a growth regulator. But I know it is an actual species. It's a really cool plant. But that was a joke. But I would love one of those. When will we have different items? I don't know of a date for True BI, or definitely not for variegated burley marks. I don't imagine you'll see that in 2020. True BI, there's probably 253 inch that are a month away, something like that. So maybe end of September. I don't think we have, feel free to send me a tote bag. I don't think we have any more tote bags. Pick up locally limited. When we had local events, we used to set aside specific inventory of things like Pink Princess, but if we allowed people to drive to us and pick up Pink Princesses, or if I at all indicated that was a thing, we would have a line of cars down the road. So, in fact, I think while I was at the greenhouses today, I turned away 2 different people. We have a sign at the end of the driveway that says deliveries and appointments only, but people still show up to see what they can do. We even lock the greenhouses these days, thanks to Bruce and setting that up. But yeah, it's the same thing every time somebody reaches out to me. I feel really bad, but if you reach out to me and you say, hey, I just really want to be one of the people who gets a Pink Princess, and I just figured if I sent you an email, I wish it was not the truth that email you sent me is like one of 4 I got that day asking for the same thing. So for those reasons, we just have to say no to all of them, regardless of the story, regardless of how I feel about it. It's just the only way I can sleep at night and feel like I did the right thing. Yeah, we may bring back the Pink Princess tote bags. But yeah, we don't have any more in stock right now. So Paul asks, talk more about the shortages and like the supply and what kind of solutions. Let me see if I have time to get back to that. I'm going to try to wrap up here though, just because I have a few more. Well, we'll put it this way. I have about an hour of cuttings to go do. So really love the new GP hat. This is a curved bill hat. We will have the always growing more hat, not just the snapbacks. Snapbacks are just something people asked us about, and then we finally were able to do them. So we're probably going to have the handwritten logo, this one, on a more traditional, like either trucker hat or like curved bill hat. These always growing more ones are really cool though, because it took me a while to figure this out, but this is a button, which according to Miriam is helpful when you have long hair. I don't know, I wear the hat forward and backwards these days. Shane posts this on YouTube as always growing more. I may post it on YouTube. We'll see what happens. Mary, as far as having 16 Jose's, I don't know that we'll ghost them. Maybe. I mean, I ghosted 2 last week, but we'll see. I mean, that's just the problem with some of those plants. I mean, there's more people here. You know, there's as many people watching this stream live right now as the number of Jose's will grow in about half a year, or, 3 months or something like that. So, and that's just people watching live right now. So, there's no good answer for that. I wish my hair looked that good. People have commented about the hair. My dad asked me where the good post hole digger is. I don't know. I'll respond to that in a second. Also, this hair is just called, I haven't trimmed it since the start of COVID. So you can just call it COVID hair. I do need to go get it like trimmed. I kept telling myself, like, there's no way I'm going to make it through all of summer with long hair because it's just too hot. And then I did it. So, do you have recommended source for learning about pest management and disease? Your local state Department of Agriculture. And if your local state Department of Agriculture doesn't have many resources on like house plants or indoor tropical foliage production, the University of Florida has great resources as well, being the ag state in Florida. So those are some good resources. Florida and California are pretty helpful on at least through their Department of Agriculture. But ultimately, I say this a lot, the Department of Ags can be, hit and miss, just like going to the DMV can be hit and miss. You're dealing with a government agency. But that being said, ultimately, the sooner you can get in contact with the person who would be assigned to you as your nursery inspection type of ag, I don't want to call them that delegate, but agriculture division manager or whatever, the sooner you can get in contact with them, that's probably the most helpful thing, because you're also going to need to go through them in order to get your nursery inspection certifications for your own state. And you're definitely going to need to go through them as far as qualifying for nursery inspections for other states. There's at least 6 that require special nematode certifications. So the sooner you can talk to them and kind of feel out how much info they have, they would probably be your best place to look. The other thing that makes Department of Ag people really helpful is, and it's person to person who gets assigned to you, but they're going to know who the other growers in your particular, region or district or whatever, they're going to know who those people are. So if you get a good Department of Ag person, you can ask them a lot of questions about, even just keeping it vague, like, are you seeing a lot of stuff in smaller pots, or are you seeing a lot of stuff in bigger pots? And they're going to be somebody who knows and has been around and visited a lot of nurseries in that specific area that you're in, and they're going to know what works and what doesn't. They're going to be able to tell you that everybody who seems to grow around here that grows tropicals uses, natural gas to heat. Whatever those little tricks that you're going to try to find, Department of Ag can be a great resource for that. All right, skipping forward. You knew I was a nerd. I'm assuming that's related to Overwatch, but yeah. I don't have as much time to dig into my nerdy side as I used to, but do we expect Gabby in 2020? Maybe. We'll see. People would fly from California to pick up a Pink Princess. What do you think is the most underrated for sale at Gabriella? Like, what's the most underrated thing that's in stock right now? I don't know. I tend to always say Aglanemas. So if like White Rain is still in stock, Aglanema White Rain is a really, really cool one, especially when they get bigger, like super long, skinny leaf. Aglanemas are just such a great indoor plant because they don't require a ton of light. So, and they produce, their color reproduction is just so accurate 6 months later. I mean, they're the same color plant as long as they have the nutrients and stuff. I think that's one of them for sure. With that, I'm going to start wrapping this up, guys, but you have a different climate than the northern states. Is there any chance of using a more draining medium to accommodate our plants? Probably not, Robert, at least not in the immediate future. We are beginning to play with like Pink Princes and stuff, doing more of an aeroid mix on those. But there's still portions of it that will probably be peat based, unless we switch to Cocoa Core for that specific aeroid mix. But in general, I don't think you'll see us change a lot, because if we changed our growing mediums, it solves one problem, creates another one. Even the amount that it would dry out if it got more watered in the morning compared to being pulled into shipping at 2 p.m., it would be pretty hard to line up the right amount of moisture to survive a 4 or 5 day trip in the mail, but also not being too wet. I mean, that's already a struggle, but the drier soil we go, the harder it's going to be to keep that moist in transit. So it's maybe, but at this point, we would have to increase and change so much about how often we water. I mean, we're already watering in the summer every day, every other day with that thick peat. So if we went to something mid-range as far as like drainage, you'd be talking about watering daily, which presents its own fungus and bacteria if you're letting leaves stay wet more often, stuff like that. So no particular changes on that front. I am not a Genji main, Diva, or at least back in the day when she had the full defense matrix. I kind of like getting to sit back and then have an ability to save other people. I'm less of a search and destroy type of person. Nerd, Call of Duty, but I don't play Call of Duty. I never got into like the games that you respawn really quickly. It was always just too disorienting to me. But I don't know. That's enough about that. Hey, yeah, thank you for saying we're all awesome. The team is what makes it. That being said, guys, there will be a lot of good stuff coming ahead. So stay tuned. I've really enjoyed getting to just do a more relaxed Q&A here. You will see some of the stickers and stuff drop this week, as well as some of the more merch. And yeah, I can't think of anything else. Just thank you guys. It's been a heck of a ride, and I'm really thankful to be at the place that I am now, where I can get back to doing this kind of stuff and making content and getting to lead the team and lead into the future, and not be as focused on feeling behind and as stressed out. So with that all being said, I hope you guys have a good night. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll try to read them later. Otherwise, take care, and we'll be back in the greenhouse tomorrow.